Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to Prime Business. In our headlines, IMF rules out timelines for a board approval of Ghana's request for a support program.
Say at this stage is that what we will do is to work very closely with all of the stakeholders to try to make that happen.
Tax expert is projecting a further increase in inflation following November inflation of 50.3%.
We should expect inflation to peak in the month of December and then should see some downward trend. If not a downward trend, we are going to see what we call a dip in growth. So we've seen a 9 percentage points increase from October to November.
Also in this bulletin, poultry farmers call for contingency fund to avoid compensation delays of farmers affected by disease outbreaks.
The government can create a contingency fund for emergencies like the bird flu, so that farmers within 3 months can even get their money and start their work.
The International Monetary Fund has indicated that there is no specific timelines on when Ghana's program request can be considered and approved by the board. Now, this follows concerns that Ghana could miss out on a full program as early as the first quarter of 2023 should there be a delay if government is unable to finalize a deal with creditors on the debt exchange program by end of 2022. Now, Chief of IMF Mission to Ghana, Stefan Rode, has been speaking to Joy Business in an interview.
Important for the IMF is that overall the strategy delivers on a certain level of relief at the aggregate level so that the objectives in terms of debt sustainability are being achieved. Now, how that relief is being provided, it's very much for the government to decide. This is the part that is a sovereign decision. And so what I meant is that the type of debt that is included in the perimeter of the debt restructuring, the parameters of the debt restructuring, how much relief is being sought from one type of creditor versus another, how the process that is being used to reach out to creditors, to negotiate with creditors, all of that are the parts that are very much in the domain of the government and for the government to decide upon. These are the sovereign decisions.
I went through your Q&A published on your website, the IMF, and then one breath you said you welcome government debt exchange program. In Ghana here, they are having some small setbacks in terms of getting everyone on board. Is it a concern for you? Because again, you also explained to us that you can go to the board when there is that commitment from these creditors.
So we very much welcome as the authorities' strategy, overall strategy, to put debt back on a sustainable track. This is very important to restore macroeconomic stability. And as part of this strategy, there is this comprehensive debt restructuring, but there's also other policies that are very important. There is the fiscal consolidation under the program, the efforts that are being made in the context of budget discussions to make sure that public finances are sustainable over the medium term.
When would the board be able to consider Ghana's request in terms of timelines, not dates? I mean, there are some who said next year, first quarter next year, second quarter next year, and all the rest. In terms of the board considering your report, when can the board look at Ghana's report or Ghana's request?
I think as soon as the board, we can present to the board these assurances and provide some degree of comfort that the debt strategy is on track and that partners will also contribute to the financing of the program, then this would be sufficient for us to go to the board. And what I can say at this stage is that what we will do is to work very closely with all of the stakeholders to try to make that happen. So, support the government in making.
So if February or if March 2023 government has concluded getting all that commitment, will the board be able to look at Ghana's request in February or March 2023?
Whenever these assurances are provided, we'll be able to present the request to the board.
So there isn't any fixed timeline to go into the board with Ghana's program?
There is no fixed timeline.
Help me out just to a layman explain to me, Ghana has gotten 3 billion. How would the disbursement be done to Ghana?
So what is traditionally done in the context of IMF-supported programs is that we have a total amount that is commensurate with the financing needs of the country, and that total amount is distributed over time throughout the life of the program. There is a first disbursement that is made at the time of the program approval by the executive directors, and then subsequent disbursement at each review of the program. This will be no different in the case of the Ghana supported program.
Finally, there's talk about structural reforms again, and the challenge is that will we come again to the IMF? For you, what would this program be able to deal with those structural challenges that when we're exposed to shocks, we won't come to the fund again?
George, this is something that we've heard a lot, over the past 5-6 months. We've engaged with many parts of the society, civil society, the private sector, unions, and everyone is telling us the same thing. We hope for a program that will address the underlying structural issues that we are confronting, so that this is the last IMF program, and we build an economy that is more resilient. So this is very much the goal here, and indeed the hope is that the structural reforms that the government is committing to in the context of this program will help address these challenges.
Ghanaians are worried about maybe hidden conditions. Would you allay their fears on that one, in this program, that will come with some tough time for them?
Well, there's nothing hidden. We have laid out what are the key areas, of reform in the program, and as soon as that program has been approved by our executive board, the full staff reports and all the documents will be released, as has been the case in the past, and as is the case in all fund-supported programs.
Now, moving on to some other stories. The year-on-year inflation rate for the month of November jumped to 50.3% on the back of rising food and fuel price increases. Now, this is the highest in 27 years. The figures show an upward adjustment of more than 9% from the previous figure of 40.2%. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Well, this is also the highest rate of increase recorded since the rebasing of the economy. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim addressing the media.
Every item can be part of only one subclass, and every subclass can be part of only one class. What this literally means is that all the items are mutually exclusive, which allows us to do disaggregation based on the hierarchy that we indicated earlier on. That is the 13 divisions, 44 groups, 98 classes, 156. The food division, having a weight of 43.7%, contributed more to the 50.3 inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2022. Specifically, the contribution of food and non-alcoholic beverages for the month of November 2022 was 47.9%, distantly followed by housing, water, electricity and gas 16.3%, and transport 12.9%.
Well, partner Deloitte Ghana Yaulati believes inflation for December and January are likely to increase, although an IMF staff level agreement has been reached and the local currency is stabilizing.
We've seen some stability in the depreciation of local currency. We should expect inflation to peak in the month of December and then should see some downward trend. If not a downward trend, we are going to see what we call a dip in growth. So we've seen a 9 percentage points increase from October to November. But let's say in the month of December, January, we are not going to have as high as 9 percentage point difference. It may be something lower, even though there will be an increase. So we should expect inflation to peak with the stability in the local currency and also us reaching IMF agreement. So it will first affect fuel and also it will affect transport fares positively. And then the third is that, as you know, inflation is driven by domestic or imported inflation. And imported inflation has been the key contributor of inflation growth in the last 5 months because of the depreciation of local currency at over 50%. So if the local currency stabilizes or sees some stability, imported inflation is going to slow down and we are going to see a dip in growth or some increase in inflation, but at a lower pace.
Now, as part of its corporate social responsibility, solar powered by Soul Ghana through the Sahara Foundation has donated solar panels to the 37 military hospital. According to Managing Director for Ghana Downstream Soul Energy, Yvette Salome, the company will in the coming days extend its support to other corporate institutions. She spoke to Joy Business.
As part of the Sahara Group, it's something that we do on a yearly basis. We've done boreholes, we've renovated secondary schools, and so many more. So this year, we identified 37 Military Hospital as one of the places where we wanted to extend our support. We did our visibility study, and we realized that the maternity ward, the quartermasters, was very dark. And you know, as a mother, and as a woman coming to have a child and these areas being dark and all that, we realized that this was one of the important things that we needed to address. So we contributed the solar panels to these areas to light up the hospital and to light up the areas. So that is why we are here today. And then going forward, are we going to embark on more projects like that? Definitely, because we always want to give back to the society. So we would further identify areas that need our support and our help, and then do that.
To some Agric-related story, the Ghana National Poultry Farmers Association is asking the government to institute a special contingency fund for early payment of compensations to farmers affected by disease outbreaks. Currently, over 70% of poultry farmers in the country are out of business, stemming mainly from the 2021 avian disease outbreak, as well as the present ballooning feed cost. Now, President of the association, Victor Opong Ejay, says many poultry farmers are selling their poultry with no expectation of restocking to avoid losses. There's more in this report.
Avian influenza or bird flu is an outbreak that no poultry farmer wants to hear.
In 2021, 159 farms in 10 out of the 16 regions of Ghana were infested with the avian influenza A subtype. The disease outbreak affected the poultry industry, as many of the farmers were forced to eject infested animals from their farms. The situation, coupled with the current expensive cost of poultry feed, has pushed at least 70% of poultry farmers in the country out of business due to financial challenges to stay afloat. Speaking at the 48th Annual General Meeting of the Ghana Veterinary Medical Association, National President of the Ghana Poultry Farmers Association, Victor Opong Ejay, revealed most farmers are refusing to restock their farms.
Most of the farmers are not even breaking even. So, as you continue to pile up debts, you just sell the best and reluctantly not restock the farm. So as we speak now, about 70 to 80% of the poultry farmers are not in operation. They are not working. And I see this as very serious, very distressful, scary, pity, because it's going to create more of unemployment.
A total of 17 million Ghana cedis was released by the government to compensate the affected farmers. However, the association wants the government to institute a contingency fund to avoid delays in compensation payments in future emergencies.
It takes too long for the farmers to get their compensation. In 2022, those who had this in January, up to now, the compensation have not been paid. I understand now that the government is making arrangements to pay them the compensation. We are saying that at least they should be paid at an earlier stage. I was also suggesting that the government can create a contingency fund for emergencies like the bird flu, so that farmers within 3 months can even get their money and start their work.
Currently, veterinary legislations in the livestock and poultry industries are outmoded, presenting difficulties in flushing out bad nuts from the industry. A legal framework to resolve the pending challenges is underway. However, President of the Ghana Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Cyril Christ, wants processes fast-tracked for implementation of the laws.
If you look at laws like diseases of animal health, these laws were enacted somewhere in the 60s, but the dynamics have changed. So we need to bring in laws that embrace the whole sector, and then the modern trends in, livestock management. Currently, we've worked on the various drafts which are at the ministry level. So we're urging the Honorable Minister to use his good officers to push these laws so that they can get cabinet approval, and from there it can go to Parliament and be enacted as laws to regulate the industry.
The 48th AGM of the Ghana Veterinary Medical Association was held under the theme Ghana's Poultry Industry at the Crossroads, the Way Forward. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
More on agri, some stakeholders within the sectors are calling on government to develop innovative models to support the operations and aid in the fight against food insecurity. According to an agricultural entrepreneur, Issa Wadrago, government must work closely with players within the sector to expand the scope of small businesses. He spoke to Joy Business at a visit to Sam Farm as part of the Farmers' Day celebration.
The agriculture stakeholders stated that a new social model of farming would aid in productivity. Speaking to Joy Business, Wadrago Issa called on government to work closely with farmers to help in the fight against food insecurity.
Introduce it to the public, to the kids, to know that there is a place to showcase what the future agriculture all looks like. I mean, we've all seen the dams, we've seen the agroforestry, we've seen the ecological garden, and you saw how happy the kids are. To me, I'm so happy because I want these kids to see the future of agriculture and its importance to this nation or for our economic growth. And I think that mission has been well achieved. And you can see the way it is now is not the Garden of Eden in the Bible, but it tells you that, we're almost close to, as far as we are concerned here, the way kids are enjoying variety of fruits, medicinal plants, no fertilizer, no insecticide, no pesticide, and it's growing naturally. But we need more of this. When you think of climate change, you think of biodiversity, you think of ecological garden. You can call it also a place of relaxation.
These farmers are calling on governments to find solutions to climate change-related problems that affect their operations.
Still watching Prime Business with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Now, the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Wuswekufo, has stated that government is committed to helping young people, especially girls, to develop skills in STEM education to help reduce the rate of unemployment and spur development in the country. She was speaking at the launch of the Seeds for Ladies in STEM project. Here is more. With women and girls in Ghana being underrepresented in areas of science, technology, engineering and mathematics-related professions, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications has launched the Seeds for Ladies in STEM project to build the gender gap and encourage girls to participate in STEM. The project was launched under the theme, Bridging the Gap in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics in Ghana. Speaking in an interview, Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Wuswekufo, mentioned that government is supporting entrepreneurs involved in STEM through the procurement of their services.
So we're looking at skills, we're looking at the technology, we're looking at the processes, we're looking at digital infrastructure, all sectors, and the overarching environment within which we can do that, and how we can use all of this to formalize our economy and generate more jobs for our young people. Digital skills is a key component of the policy that we are developing, because we believe that if we give our young people the skills that they require, they can compete in the global world of work within the next 10 years. They're already doing exploits. In many of the meetings in which we have gone, when they've been given an opportunity, they have been winning awards. Innovations from Ghana are winning international awards. The world-class, we're utilizing it. Many of the interventions that we're using in our country today were developed by Ghanaian entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, and we can mention the national ID, the digital property address system, even our mobile money interoperability system, even the SIM registration application. They were all developed by local Ghanaian companies. So if we give them the chance, and government is the largest procurer of goods and services. So if government also procures these innovative applications and systems developed by our young people. It also gives them a chance to grow and showcase what they're doing on the national and international arena. And we're committed to supporting that development.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, added that there is the need to bridge the gender gap in STEM to accelerate Ghana's development.
Basically, what we're saying is that, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization have been doing the Girls in ICT project. You also have the situation where various members of the chamber, MTN, Vodafone, Airtel, Tigo, American Towers, Helios Towers, Ericsson, Comsys and C-Square, they've been involved in providing opportunities for ladies in STEM. But then we know that generally the numbers are still not good. So the whole objective of Seed for Ladies in STEM is to be able to pull together all of these partners, bring other partners in so that we can achieve some equity, some parity when it comes to gender distribution in the field of science, technology, engineering, and maths. We believe that if we're able to do that, it would help us accelerate Ghana's performance.
Partners of the initiative were encouraged to ensure that there is equality in the recruitment of personnel in their various organizations. And that's it for Prime Business with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Always a pleasure serving you. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Always a pleasure serving you.